All right, welcome to day 3, and we have this amazing new set from Roberto, and it's got the bad witch, the good witch, and a flying monkey. Oh my gosh, the flying monkey is freaking adorable. Okay, so I am using my stitched rectangle dies, and so the white paper and the lighter green are both with the stitched rectangle, and then the darker green is with the scalloped rectangle die. And so I'm going to go ahead and I made a base of even a darker green color. And then I'm using the Color Splotches stamp set to add some splotches around the outside of each of the papers, except for the white one where I'm going to be stamping the Bad Witch. So I decided to go green because usually in the movie she's green. And of course I'm going to color her green with Copic markers. So for the darkest green here, which is the card base, I actually used black for the splotches around. And then on the other 2 cards, I used the Memento green color. It was a kit that I had gotten on Amazon, and it had a rainbow of colors in it. So I just grabbed the green out of that one to stamp around the edges of this one. So on the card base, I used the splotchy that kind of looks like just drops. And then on the other bases, I use this one that looks like a big old paint splatter. And I used that same darker green color from the Memento Dewdrop kit that I have. And I actually kind of wish I had looked for a lighter green color, maybe in my Distress Oxide inks. The Color Splotches stamp set has 7 different stamps of like paint drop, splatters. Some are bigger, some are smaller. So I'm got all my edges done, and I'm going to go ahead and glue all my card bases together. And then I'm going to go ahead and work on stamping the Bad Witch on the white piece of Copic cardstock. Now, is she the Bad Witch? Is that what they call her in The Wizard of Oz? I'll have to look that up. So I went ahead and I stamped her with Memento Tuxedo Black ink on the paper, and I had prepped her before this, with wiping off the chemicals used to make it. And I was having a little bit of a problem getting the mouth to stamp nice and black, so I had to do it a couple different times. I don't think I cleaned that area off well enough so that it actually took the ink well. So I finally get her all stamped up, and then I'm going to go ahead and color her with Copic markers. So the witch is usually green. So I'm going to start with E-O-O-O-O to get a base color of Copic on her. And then I'm going to move to greens. So I'm using YG23 and YG21. And I used the YG23 like I usually use my EO2 to add the shadowing on her. And then the YG21 is to blend that out. And I go back and forth with the 2 markers to darken the areas where they're shadowing, like the end of her nose and under her hat and around her mouth. And when Roberto first sent me these images, I was like, that looks like Doofenshmirtz in the Phineas and Ferb episode where they go to Oz. I can't remember the name of the episode. I'll show a picture here so you guys can see. See, doesn't that look like him? Yes, I will admit I used to watch Phineas and Ferb because I had little ones, and my nephew, when we first moved here, my nephew absolutely loved them. He is turning 17 this year, I think, and we moved here and he was 8. So quite a while ago. Time sure does fly. So for the black on her outfit, I used C6, C7, and C9. And I just went back and forth blending them out, trying to leave a little bit of that whiteness to give it highlights on her, like on her, the trim of her hat and her dress and her sleeves and stuff. I find black is the hardest to color with because if you do too much, it just becomes one big black object. But if you don't add enough black, then it looks too gray and not black enough. So black is really the one that I need to work on, do some practicing on getting my blacks right. So usually, like on Easter, or not Easter, Halloween cards, I'll do like a purple instead of black. Or like on bats, I'll do purple instead of black. But I think I need to work on that to get my black down. So I'm using different colors of green that match the card, the base, and then the layers on the card. So like her face is the YGs, but then her hat was the G's. So I wanted to bring in different green colors to match the card and the card base. And then for her little broom, just some brown. And then I'm using some YRs for her, the bristles on her broom. And I'm just doing some real quick, adding shadows on her broom just to make it look, a little bit 3D-ish. And then I'm going to go ahead and work on the puffy. And I bring in some YG21. And then I'm bringing in some YGs in there too. To really make those clouds, well, I guess would that be like clouds or dust or puffs, like if you do a magic show and you got the puff of smoke. Oh, maybe that's what it is. It's a puff of smoke underneath her. But of course it's got to be green because she's green and everything. So I added the greens and I'm just going back and forth and blending them out. So I finished coloring the puff of smoke, and then I realized that I wanted to add some more green in there. So I took the YG21 and I went all around her, adding the greenness to her. And as you can see in this picture here, you can see how it kind of makes her pop a little bit. And then I go ahead and I take that YG21 and I color underneath her. And then I'm going to go ahead and stamp the sentiment down there right on top of that Copic marker color, just so the sentiment kind of stands out a little bit. So the sentiment says, "Don't make me drop a house on you," which I guess you would send that to somebody who's kind of making you mad. Like, hey, don't eke me off, man. So I went ahead and I just used a stamping block and stamped it on there. And I'm sorry it's down further so you can't see me do it, but I realized that the camera's down there and I move it up here in just a second. There we go. So I go ahead and I glue her to the base of the layering and the cards. And then we're going to go ahead and add some white highlights here to her to finish her off. I like to add the white highlights just to give it that little extra pop and little extra bit to the card. So, and then I go ahead and I use lime green stickles on the bottom of the smoke puff because, you got to add glitter. I love glitter. So there's glitter all over our house. There's glitter up in our bathroom even, and I'm not even sure how it got there. So I don't know. So tomorrow is our final day of previews, and then the release will be available on Friday, March 5th at 12 o'clock Central Standard Time. Thank you for joining me, and do something crafty today and have fun. Bye!